So we still have a minute till we actually get started, but I wanted to introduce myself so we can, so when we can get started right at 6. I see there's a few more people jumping on, so we're just going to give them a few more minutes. Um, so those who don't know me, my name is Patty Schramm. I'm the Parent Resource Trainer Coordinator for the SALT Talks. This month we are looking at transition, preparing for transition success. I didn't know what transition meant until I went through it. And there are so many turning wheels. I felt like I was being pulled in many directions. It was exhausting. And you didn't know exactly who to reach out to and when. So we started this month just preparing for the transition success, just so parents, and just different caregivers, whoever is helping or assisting with the individual with disabilities, kind of give them an idea of some directions they can choose. We do record these sessions, so if you missed the first, we've had 2 sessions now. We talked about um, the county board's services and what resources they have and what kind of services they provide. That was the first week. And then last week we talked about Disability Benefits 101. When your child turns 18, what does that mean with benefits and different things? So now tonight I brought in, there's programs called Project Life and Project Search. When your child gets to that point of transitioning from when they're in the high school setting, you have these programs that help you with the transition to with employment. It is a wonderful program. Our son still uses, I mean, it's been, oh my, 12 years, I think, since he graduated. 12 years since he graduated from it. Maybe it's been 14. I have to look back to see because he deferred his diploma and then graduated then in 12. So yeah, it was quite a roller coaster of events that take place when your child goes through transition. So these groups that I'm bringing in this month are there to help guide you for the different levels of transition or the different stages of transition. So I'm going to turn it over to Michael Albrecht. Um, he is with the Butler Tech. Later we'll hear from Warren County. And then also there's a link I shared there that will take you to our Google Soft Drive, which not only has their presentation, their information, but also has flyers from other counties. If you're from a specific county and don't know who to reach out to, these two will know that person of contact more than likely. So I'm going to just turn it over to you, Michael, and let you get started.
Thanks a lot, Patty.
Mhm.
It's great to see so many people logged on here too. That's wonderful. Just a quick note, if you're looking on the presentations that we sent in, the one that I'll be sharing tonight has incorrect dates for our open houses. So please ignore those. We haven't made the new flyer for this year yet. So as soon as we have that, I will forward it to Patty. So if you get to the open house slide, just ignore that date for now, and we'll get you the right one later. The really going through you know, having a son or a daughter with a disability, the entire life is a bit of a transition, but when you're getting close to adulthood, that's sort of where the rubber's meeting the road. So it's pretty huge, and that's why we're here to help. I want to be clear too, before I put my presentation up and start walking through that, Project Life and Project Search are both programs that are provided, through the schools, public school programs. So it's not like something we're trying to sell here. It's nothing we make money on. It's truly a furthering of the continuum of services that your son or daughter was already receiving in school. It's just something highly specialized to help prepare them for work and independence and adulthood. So, with that being said, let's see if I can share my presentation. And then, okay, I believe it worked. If it didn't work, then Patty will have to jump in and tell me.
I can
Okay,
see it. Yep.
great. It went right to the bad slides. So we'll start at the beginning. So, what makes Project Life and Project Search so awesome? I somewhat tongue in cheek titled this. finding your way from high school to work without falling off a cliff. And the falling off a cliff piece, I always like to tell a little bit about the history. Back in, I want to say as early as 2004, there were people in Butler County talking about how there was this gap in services. Um, Young adults with disabilities were finishing high school and expected to go out into the world of work, but really didn't have all the skills and the confidence and the experience they needed to do so successfully. So a lot would try, maybe not get hired after a bad interview, or get a job, but maybe have an inappropriate outburst or reaction to something at work and immediately get fired, kind of, turn inward and end up staying on the couch or in the basement of their parents, not really contributing anything. And that's not really a happy life for anyone. So people as far back as 2004 were talking about what can we do to better prepare this population to be independent as adults in Butler County. And so they kind of surveyed what are the programs in the area that are meeting this need in other places. And after a few years of that, they landed on Project Search, which was a program that Cincinnati Children's Hospital had created back in the 90s. And it was having a lot of success doing this. And so we at Butler Tech and in Butler County decided we wanted to become one of their first replications outside of Hamilton County. So in 2006, we started a Project Search program. It was just 12 individuals, one teacher. They came in, they learned work skills for a year, they got jobs. It was a very successful year, but also it left us with a lot of like questions or concerns like, hey, is 1 year really enough for every person in this predicament? And it seemed like no, some of them 1 year was good. They got 1 year of work training, they went out into the workforce. Others, it was like, wow, if we could have just done this maybe for 2 years, they would have been ready. So we went back to the drawing board and they came up with this idea for Project Life, because Project Search has a rule. It's only 1 year. So once you're in Project Search and you finish that year, you're expected to go get a job at that point. So we created Project Life in order to sort of give a bonus year before Project Search. That way folks could spend some time, maybe learning about some independent living skills, also getting some job experience, and prepare them to launch into that Project Search final year, totally ready to go, ready to get the best bang for their buck during that year, and then successfully achieve employment after that. So that's how Project Life was created in Butler County at Butler Tech back in 2007. And since then, it has grown, kind of ballooned here. We now have 4 Project Life classrooms and 3 Project Search classrooms just in Butler County, serving over 120 individuals in any given year. And Project Life is now being replicated all across the country and in Canada in over 40 different school systems and places all around the country, including Hawaii, which Patty and I were just talking about. So it's really neat to see something that was created right here in our backyard, spreading sort of around the world at this point. But we do it the best, I always like to say here, because we created it. I've got some video clips here. I'm going to come back to those maybe at the end. First, I just want to talk through some of this. And Patty, do let me know if anyone's asking questions in the chat or anything, because I definitely can't see it. So I want to go through what I consider the sort of the active ingredients to what makes Project Life successful in Project Search. So in these programs, we're working real jobs. A lot of times in high schools, work study programs, you'll be working maybe a simulation of a job within the school, where you're doing part or helping out. But in our programs, we're actually out in the community, in businesses, doing a job that really is not pared down. This is a job that other employees who work there would be expected to do. And so it's authentic. Now, of course, we're not expecting them to do it perfectly right off the bat. And we've got skills trainers, adults who are with them, who are helping them learn these jobs and giving them feedback. So it's a true training experience, but it's also getting to see what it is like to have um, real expectations of a real workplace and kind of measure up to how close am I getting to that as an individual. Another cool thing is that we do 3 work rotations throughout the year. So you get to try out 3 different jobs. I always say, like, test drive your career. So if you're with us for a couple of years, that's 6 different jobs you've tried and so forth. So that builds up your idea of what you like, what you don't like, and you really know because you've experienced it. So then you know what kind of job to look for when you go searching. Another thing about Project Life and Project Search is that we're teaching real world skills. So I should probably update these slides to reflect this, but our curriculum, specifically in Project Life, is built around what we call like our 3 domains. The workplace is the one that we're obviously thinking about, but also what does independence look like at home and what does independence look like in the community? So it's often slightly different in those 3 realms. And so we try to explicitly teach about what do you have to do to take care of yourself and be independent in your job at home. So that could include, laundry, cooking, cleaning, all the things you need to know to have your own apartment or house. And then in the community, like, what is it to be taking advantage of opportunities in your community to stay connected, to build friendships, do fun things with your friends in the community. And how do you do all of that appropriately and independently? So we're trying to teach all of those skills all wrapped together through the Project Life and somewhat the Project Search curriculum. So those are real skills. And we collect so much data. I could go on and on about that, but yeah, we're really monitoring those things to make sure they're growing. Um, and then results. So this is sort of about the results we get when we have students that go through Project Life and Project Search. We've got job attainment rates in before COVID, it was higher. Honestly, I would say 80 to 90%. Since COVID, it's been more like 70 to 80%, but it's creeping back up. One of the things, well, it's a complex situation, but the whole landscape of employers and the way that they interact with new employees has changed since COVID. But we are still seeing lots of success, especially when you consider that the general percentage of people with disabilities in Ohio and across the nation is closer to 30 or 40%, depending on how you measure it. And so we're at least doubling that and sometimes more. So folks who finish our programs go out and get jobs. We keep track of them. We make sure we check in with them about 9 months after they've left us to see, do you still have that job? How's it going? And that's where we pull some of those percentages from. We also keep up with some of our alumni who have been graduated for years and years, and sometimes I'll come around and interview them, and we'll kind of put a profile piece about them together to put out there. But yeah, it's just wonderful to see the actual success of people getting jobs, earning money. And one man I interviewed had saved up enough and bought his first pickup truck, and he was very proud of that. And he had done that all on his own. And then having fun, of course, when you're in programs like these, we don't want it to be all drudgery. We try to make it as fun as possible. And there's a lot of friendships that get kind of forged during this time, especially when you consider we're bringing people together from all around Butler County. And so you're meeting people that you wouldn't have encountered previously. And so a lot of people stay in touch afterwards and kind of build that friend group and that support group that can continue on. But we do try to make it fun, and we have great instructors who are a lot of fun. Um, Here's a map that shows in Butler County where our programs are, in case you were wondering. So like I mentioned, we have 4 Project Life programs. One's over in Hamilton, right by Hamilton High School. One's at D. Russell Lee on the main Butler Tech campus. One is at the Butler Tech LaSwordsville campus, which is where LaSwordsville Lake used to be a long time ago, the amusement park. And then one is at Butler Tech Monroe campus, which is right by Monroe High School. So we kind of spread along the corridor there. Then our Project Search programs are spread out in 3 corners of the county. So, I get a lot of mileage on my car visiting these folks. But we've got Westchester Hospital, which is awesome. We've been there for a long time, I think 11 or 12 years at this point, and they highly, highly value us. We're integrated, definitely part of the community and team within that workplace. Atrium Medical Center, much the same situation. So again, another hospital. There are so many jobs that can be done in a hospital. You can learn basically any skill you want to learn that you can then take and apply to whatever job you get afterwards. And then a project search at Miami University, which again, a university is like a small city. So there's everything going on, and we kind of get into all of it, helping out, whether it's the mailroom, the ice rink, the food courts, or helping serve coffee at a coffee shop, for example. So we do all kinds of things. Our Project Life programs partner with things like Sanmar and Kohl's, which are distribution centers, like an Amazon warehouse, sort of. We partner with ThyssenKrupp Bilstein, producing shock absorbers over in Fairfield. We partner with Ohio Living, like a retirement center in Monroe, Eli's, Buffalo Wild Wings for some restaurant experiences, and Courtyard Marriott taking care of a hotel in downtown Hamilton. There's over 20 different businesses we work with, so I can't even remember them all off the top of my head. This is a flow chart that just shows kind of the process. So there's folks in high school and then they're ready to graduate, but they need some more training before they jump right into community employment. So that's where we fall. So if you just need 1 year of that kind of training, and Patty, I see there's lots of chats flowing in there. So interrupt me anytime you want and we can answer questions. But you jump into project search if all you need is 1 year, you get that training, and then you jump into community employment. The other path you could take is to go to Project Life before Project Search. And actually, Project Life is not limited to be 1 year. So if you're a person who might need, let's say, 3 years of a transition preparation program like this, you could spend 2 years in Project Life, then your final year in Project Search, and then jump over to community employment. So it's very custom built based on your own kind of learning trajectory and what you're ready for. But that's how that works.
I
Here's
think
where
there were, oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
Michael.
Go right ahead.
I think there was a question, and it's probably when one person asks, it's usually on everybody's mind too.
Yes.
But I believe if I caught the question correctly, like after they do Project Life, um, and what would be the next? So they would go on to Project Search, or would they be, what would they have to go to Project Search? Is Project Search the only next step? I believe is how I read the question.
Okay, good question. So it's ideally is the next step. However, in Ohio, you can only receive public education school services until you turn 22. So if folks are still in Project Life when they turn 22, then at that point we would just exit to community employment and provide some of those kind of handoff services to Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities and Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities, who kind of take the baton and help with that job attainment piece that comes after. But ideally, we like to see people go from life to search and then to community employment, but it's not strict. It doesn't have to be that way. Again, it's totally built around what your individual needs are. So good question. This slide is the one where I made a mistake when I sent it to Patty. I included our flyer from last year, which has not been updated yet. So we're still having the same 2 open houses, but the dates are going to be November 13th and November 19th. So if you pull this presentation off of what's loaded in the system right now, you will not see 13 and 19 there, but it is 13 and 19. I just want to be super clear. On November 13th, we'll be at Courtyard Marriott, which is one of our Project Life job sites. We'll have a Project Life and a Project Search program there, and the students who are in those programs now will be there that night. They'll set up presentation boards, and they'll be talking about the jobs they've been doing and what their experience has been like in the program. So if you want to learn more directly from the people who are in our program now, that's a great time to do it. You can come meet them, ask them any questions you want. And then the same is true for November 19th. just a different date to try to help with folks who maybe don't have as flexible of a schedule. Hopefully, you can make one of those nights work. And the November 19th is at the Butler Techless Swordsville campus, and it'll have 3 different programs featured there. And I believe this is my last slide. It's just a for more information slide. I'll leave that up for a little bit so that in case, and actually that due date will be a slightly different, but it's basically right in that ballpark. Right around the beginning to mid-December is when we expect our applications to be in for our programs. Because we accept over 120 individuals each year, it takes us a little more time to kind of process through that. So we start kind of wading through applications over winter break. And then we bring everyone who applies to our programs in for interviews in January and February. And then we make decisions about who's being accepted into the programs, usually right at the start of March, right around March 1st. So that's what our timeline looks like in Butler County, but different Project Search and Project Life programs in other counties will have different timelines. We're all kind of like different sizes and have different processes. So that's just Butler County. But these websites are great if you want to check out what we've got going on. Our Facebook page is regularly updated with stuff going on in our classrooms. And then Michael Albrecht is my name, and that's my contact information below there.
There is 2 questions. I believe, Julia, you want to ask your question. You can unmute if you want to just ask it. It's a lot of typing. She said she has a little bit to ask
Yeah,
you.
go for it.
Hi, thank you for hosting this. I really appreciate it. I'm so sorry that I'm asking this out loud. I just have, it's kind of a long question. Maybe you can answer it, maybe you cannot. When we moved out here 7 years ago, my husband and I faithfully attended all the SALT meetings in person, like 2018, 2019, and I tried to follow everything that was, you know, advised for us to do. We opened an OOD case, we procured guardianship, we got SSI, opened a stable account, maintained an IEP and ETRs, even though my son is homeschooled. But then the shutdown happened, and I lost track of everything, kind of. I mean, I tried to, I would try to attend some of the SALT, but it's very difficult online, and we had to move 2 times because my son got sick. It's a long story. Anyway, our OOD coordinator would tell us that Project Search was a program for when after they graduated, and it would help them find a job. And I thought that this was some kind of like organization, and I said, oh, okay, so there's something there in place after they graduate from high school. And that was the impression I got. She didn't tell me that there was a 2-year window. You have to apply and be accepted, and you have to do it during school, so, while they're still in school. So I don't know what happened, but my son is currently in Career X, and I'm very grateful that he's in Career X. But this is like the 2nd or 3rd time I applied for Career X, and then he got in because we finally got back in touch with Kathy Kleiser. I think she's the one who got him in. But so we did apply for Project Search and Project Life. He probably would have made it into Project Search, but they didn't have enough room. So I'm just
Julia, are you in
yeah,
Hamilton County?
I am not.
Are you in Butler County?
I am in Green, but this is the
Green.
only one I could attend tonight, so I apologize.
It's all good. No, your question
So
is great. I
yeah,
personally don't know anything about Greene County, but there might be
okay.
someone else on the call who does.
I'm just wondering where I went wrong, because we would do IEPs, but the IEPs would be done virtually, and we would discuss Career X, and I was never really told about, I don't remember being told about Project Search or anything, and I wasn't told that Career X was a 2-year program, even though we went and visited them in their open house. So somewhere I did something wrong, and I don't know what, because I tried to keep in touch, but I guess we lost touch with people. I don't know how, but I'm just wondering where I went wrong. Because my son has 1 year before he's 22, and he has 1 year of career X, and we kind of missed the opportunities, even though I had every intention of taking
Yeah.
those opportunities in a timely manner. And I'm just kind of beside myself. Um, I don't know if this has happened to other people, but it just seems like I, I don't know. Um,
Well, I hear you, Julia, and that is frustrating. I don't know if there's anyone on the call who has information about Greene County's transition offerings. I don't know very much about what goes on in Greene County. I do know Career X is a helpful piece. You know, it's not exactly what Project Life and Search are, but I know it still does help boost readiness for independence.
Julia, there's when you go to that link, and we can share it again, but there was a link for the presentation into a Google Salt drive, and you can look at it following the meeting if you want. But it takes you to some flyers, and we have Greene County's flyers out there. Following this, I can loop you into a email with Kristen Brown. She's the one that handles a lot of that up in Greene County.
right. We had an interview with her, and I've met her
Okay.
and all of that, and we're in touch with Kathy Kaiser now.
Yep.
But I guess somewhere along the line, I needed to be in touch with her earlier on,
Mm,
but I don't know why we were not. I don't know how we got disconnected, because I had every intention to keep connected with everything, and
sure.
I guess I was listening to our OOD coordinator, who said, everything is fine, blah blah blah. We have time. We have time. We have time, which we don't have time. So um,
Well,
We
Julia, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have an answer for you, but I am glad that you raised the issue because I do think that kind of lets the other folks on the call know the importance of staying on top of this kind of thing. You know, the time you only have so many years till you turn 22, so you want to make the best use of it that you can for sure.
Right.
Did Daniel or Danielle, did you have a question?
Yes, I did have a question. What 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 services do you qualify if you have a mid disability after you turn 22 and you get done with Project Life and Project Search and future living arrangements? Who would I need to talk to about that if you're wanting to move out of your parents' house once you're done with Project Life and Project Search? I want to be able to live on my own, but I feel like I'm gonna need more support for that, and that's what kind of bothers me, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Great, very important question. The two agencies that are going to be kind of critical, like you at least have to have working with these two, would be your county board of developmental disabilities. So you may already be connected with them. I don't know what county you live in.
We live in Butler County.
Great. So your Butler County Board of DD, do you know if you work with them already?
We have gotten testing done to see if I'm eligible,
Perfect.
and, and they're gonna go off and see if I'm eligible or not.
Okay, they're going to be your key support in that journey. But another great support, and I don't know if you're already employed and earning money or not, but Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, or OOD, is another huge player you want to have on your team to help you get that independent employment situation sorted out.
Yes, and I was wanting to know if I qualify for not SSDI but SSI for my mid disability.
Well, that's something that your Butler County DD caseworker can help you with. like dig into your specific situation and help with that. Patty, you may have additional information because you're much more of an expert with the SSI than I am.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can, Daniel, following this, I'll send you an email and get you in contact with a couple people, but I'll get you looped in on an email, but I'll probably have Beth Reisner. She will get you where you need to be or what to whatever wherever you're at and what you need. You know, she has all those contacts and she'll be able to connect you with someone that can help with the SSI or SSDI part too.
Yeah, because
Okay.
okay, I just
Oh,
have all these questions.
yeah, that's fine. I will send an email to you, okay?
Okay.
Following the session. We did have one other question. Michael, hold on, let's see. Um, Megan asked, can you explain the interview process and how the meetings go?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So again, this is going to be our meeting and interview process for Butler County. It could be different in other counties. But what we do is we have folks come in and meet with actually a panel of our staff or people representing Butler County DD, who we just mentioned, OOD, that other agency I mentioned. So a representative from each of those two agencies is sitting at the table, as well as one of our teachers from one of our programs, and typically one of our skills trainers, which is like the job coach that helps out at the job site. So there'll be a whole panel of folks, which can be intimidating, but we try to make folks, feel as calm and welcomed as possible. And we just ask them a series of kind of basic interview questions. We usually send those questions out to our local school districts so they can help applicants kind of prepare for that because we're not trying to catch anyone off guard or anything. But we do want to talk to them directly and kind of give them a chance to advocate for their own wants and needs and share some of their dreams with us and things like that. As part of our interview, we do have a few what I would call like performance kind of tasks where we ask you to maybe assemble something or sort some things just to see what your approach is to that and kind of help us place where you are on that continuum of are you ready to jump right into a project search or maybe you need a year of project life first and to get you ready for that. So that whole interview is basically trying to help us determine where is your best entry point into our programming. We do unfortunately have, between like I would say 3 to 7 people each year who sort of don't make the cut who apply to our programs. Typically, those would be the folks who have no have no work experience whatsoever, like they haven't even done anything with their high school to try to do some work study. And compounded on top of that, maybe have some very significant disabilities that are going to make it very difficult for them to approach employment, possibly. We want to accept all of those folks into our program, but we just have to unfortunately have a few that don't make it in because we only have so many slots and we always get more applicants than we have slots to offer. So that's the process. We try to keep it unintimidating as possible. It's very friendly and informal, but we do just like to sit down and talk with them a little bit. And we also get applications. So we're using lots of different data points to fill out a rubric and help us kind of rank all the applicants.
Okay, that was me that asked the question. Um, if they are limited verbally, I did get the list of interview questions from his teacher so we could start going through them so I could help him understand the words and the dialogues. We don't always use those words in that format, like strengths and weaknesses.
Mhm.
Are they able to create some sort of visual presentation that
Of
they could
course.
bring along that answer the questions a little bit more in depth?
Yes. Yeah, we
Okay.
we welcome and encourage that. And there are many folks who do that, as well as folks who use communication devices or different kind of communication systems. If communication is a struggle for them, that's totally, fine. And we expect to see a lot of that. That's the population that we're trying to serve. So it's certainly not, it's not like a bad mark on your application or anything like that. But we do want you to come prepared to be able to communicate in whatever way you normally do, whether that's through a system or through some pre-written things or whatever it might be.
Okay. And then I was also told that if you do not make it in for the first year, that you could, like, let's say we're from Middletown City Schools. So we have a 19 to 21 program that he could go into at Middletown if we were not able to get into the Butler Tech program. And then we were told he could re-interview the next year potentially.
Yeah. And whenever we have that happen, we give those folks a bunch of bonus points because we don't really want to see people not getting in 2 consecutive years. You know, they've already, this is their second try. So we try to give them a boost to make sure they kind of make the list. But yeah, that does happen. I can't personally guarantee that because like you said, it based on your school district. So Middletown offers that. So that's great. But yeah, you have to check in with your school district to make sure you have a plan for what to do in that year between, you know, graduating and then reapplying.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I don't want to scare people with, I mean, seriously, we accept 120. We might, you know, not accept maybe between 3 and 7. So, you know, your chances are good to get in, but there just always is a small handful that unfortunately we can't take everybody.
I don't see any further questions for you at this time.
All right. I know Maria had stuff to
Mhm.
share too.
I made you co-host, Maria, if you wanted to share the specific slides or the flyers. And then Michael, I guess if we have time, we can come back to your videos.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
We'll see if we have time. Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead, Maria.
All right. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Maria Koronkiewicz, and I am one of the 2 project search instructors in Warren County. My specific campus is the government campus. So in Warren County, we have one site that manage all of like the municipalities. Specifically, I'm in the Common Pleas building, so right next to the county judges. And then my counterpart is out at Otterbein Retirement Community. So that's where her location is at. And so we are not as big as Butler County. So we are not fortunate to have, you know, a Michael kind of overseeing all of us. We are stuck kind of promoting and managing it ourselves. And I will put up my presentation, but again, Patty, if anybody chimes in, my presentation is also in the drive that was shared with you guys tonight. There are some additional flyers as well. And those flyers outline our open houses, and we do have our open houses set, hold on, for the year. And that's when we'll be doing them. And you are able to attend those open houses, answer questions. Typically, DD and OOD are on site. So you might see some familiar faces, some people that you know, kind of milling around. And let's do this. Here we go.
And
All
Maria,
right.
one question too, since during your presentation, I think you have a couple of people in surrounding counties to Warren County. Didn't know if any of those would be able to apply in your county as well.
That's a great question, Patty.
Mhm.
We are not limited to Warren County. So I say that kind of with a caveat. So Megan, I think was talking about Middletown. We do have Middletown students, which is Butler County. We have Carlisle students, which is Montgomery County. And I've had individuals who have been out in like Clinton Massey School District because they're on this side of Warren County. We also have Mason students because Mason kind of shares that border, and they get the choice if they want to attend us or the Oaks. So typically the biggest barrier in those situations is transportation. But for example, both Carlisle and Middletown provide busing to the Career Center. So they are able to come out and participate in our Project Search sites. And I know that's a little different than like the Oaks. The Oaks individuals have to find their own transportation, Uber, transit, whatever it may be. Warren County Career Center has traditionally and still continues to rely on school busing. So we are kind of bound by that. But because of the Career Center, buses do transport there. So I hope that covers it all, Patty. I will skip the slides that are similar to Michael's. This is the presentation that Alex and I, my counterpart, use to present to kind of both parents, school districts, transition organizations. So a lot of it's going to be very repetitive of Michael's. But in Warren County, we have Project Search, and I like to kind of say this is the end of the transition train. Individuals are all taking their diplomas when they're done with us, so we're the last stop. But Warren County does have another program called TLC, which is a Transition to Living Classroom, which is ran by the Warren County ESC, and that program is typically the program individuals will attend. They work a little bit shorter days. There's a little bit more classroom work, and they work a little bit of shorter days before they come to Project Search, where Project Search is just the hour of instruction in the morning, and then we spend 3 to 4 hours on the job site. So you'll see different pictures in here of different locations and types of jobs. Our curriculum is completely at Project Search based on employability skills. So reading, writing, math, all of that kind of more school-based instruction goes out the window. We work on budgeting, health and wellness. It's more of those soft skills that are more, I think, more difficult to teach because they're more nuancy, team building and all that stuff. So all individuals start with that in the morning at both locations. And then at my locations, we get a little bit in the afternoon because we have that time together. Here's some examples of job rotations at Otterbein. And like Michael said, it's 3 rotations. So they will start out for about 10 to 12 weeks-ish doing a rotation. Then we'll have a transition week where we get ready for the second and third rotation, work on kind of some of those things that need to be cleaned up in the classrooms, resumes, interview skills, that kind of stuff. So there's a variety because similar to what Michael said at Miami, Otterbein Senior Retirement Community is its own little village and city and town all by itself. So it has everything available, and all of our interns have worked in every capacity at that site. The government campus is a little more office driven. Most of the jobs I have are office driven, but my individuals work anywhere from the Juvenile Justice Center to clerk of courts, filing away criminal and domestic cases. We work in the prosecutor's office doing filing and shredding and documentation for them, child support enforcement agencies. But then we have jobs such as at Donovan, which is an elementary school that's on the campus as well, where individuals work as custodians or in culinary in the kitchen. I don't think, Michael, yours had this calendar on here, but I pulled this from the Project Search website. So we follow a traditional school calendar. So we are bound by the school year. We have 3 internships, and in those internships, we hold 3 what we call employment planning meetings. And at those employment planning meetings, we bring the whole team together and just kind of discuss what I call the good, the bad, and the ugly. What's going well, what's going okay, but still needs to be worked on, and what's not going well. And it's a great check-in kind of towards the beginning of the internship and the end of the internship to just get everybody on the same page about expectations, what we see for outcomes for the individuals. At that time, the team discusses potentially getting temps or independent living situations. And we kind of talk about the 3-foot view, the 30-foot view, the 3,000-foot view that the whole team sees for this individual. So with those transition weeks in between. We do follow the Warren County Career Center's calendar because we are dependent on their busing. Michael did this exact same flow chart here. His just had Project Lice instead of the transition to living classroom. And so we see individuals that fall under all umbrellas. I have individuals with me right now that just completed their graduation requirements last year and are 18. And they're doing Project Search, and then they'll get it hopefully employed. Or we have individuals who have gone to TLC first for 1-2 years and are 21 or 22 years old. The other thing is individuals that attend Project Search also kind of run both sides of the umbrella of they will never be independent, probably never drive, but individuals who will be able to be independent and be able to drive. So we see it all and we cover it all. I also have videos, but I'm not going to play those either. And Alex and I are both open to having visits. We do classroom tours, private tours with individuals. We bring out teachers. We bring out whole classrooms. We also have multiple open houses throughout the year. The best place to keep up on that is our Facebook page. We are very active on that Facebook page. We have an FAQ next Thursday for parents, and then I think it's 2 weeks after that is the government campus open house. Applications are to be determined at this point in time, but we run very similar to Butler Tech, and I think we're going to have it due at the end of December. So we're able to do those assessments and interviews in that January, February timeframe, with acceptances going out in March. With that being said, this is the second year we've run 2 campuses. At this point in time, as of today, we are not full at either campuses. We weren't last year, we weren't this year. We are pretty close to full, and we haven't had to turn anybody away. But we work very closely with TLC in the transition to living classroom, talking about the journey for specific individuals. And we will go out and observe their interns. We talk about all the factors that make up that individual's transition journey and talk about what would be best for them. So Alex and I's contact information is on there. The flyers are in the folder that Patty shared. So come out and see us, ask questions. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
There is a question, and I believe that this is be for you, Maria. Oops, there it goes. My chat box shifted. Is there priority to students in Warren County first?
Nope, not as of right now. That's not the way we have set up. But if you are outside of Warren County, transportation tends to be the biggest barrier. So that's a conversation you would have to have with the sending district. But no, we do not rank them any higher on an application.
And for those who are looking at other counties, we have flyers out there. As Michael mentioned, there's flyers, the presentation, of course, but Maria has flyers. We have Greene County has flyers. We got flyers from Montgomery County, and we also had Hamilton County. You talked about Great Oaks. They sent flyers. So depending which county you're close to, there are flyers and contact information in that Google Drive, not just the presentations. Did you want to pull up any of those videos and share any of those?
Patty, I'll just say, as soon as we get our open house flyer updated, I'll send you a whole new version of the presentation so you can just replace what you have in there. But I hope that doesn't lead anyone astray. I'm okay with leaving the videos off. If folks want, they can always go into the presentation and click the links and watch them on their own versus having us try to stream them over a Zoom. But they are, I know the links I have on mine are great videos. I'm sure Maria's are as well. So it's probably worth your time if you want to check them out.
Does anybody have any more questions for either one or anything about Project Life, Project Search, preparing for it? Let's see. Chris says, is the Butler County program also open to non-Butler County residents like Warren County?
Well, I would say theoretically it could be, but the thing is within Butler County, we already get more applications than we have spots. So in reality, no. Butler Tech does have the Northwest local school district within their career tech jurisdiction. So even though Northwest is in Hamilton County, their students still come to Butler Tech, and so therefore their transition students still apply to Project Life and Project Search with us. So we're all the Butler County districts plus Northwest, but outside of that, no, not really, unfortunately.
I have another question. Would we, at the end of the school year, would we have like a meeting? Like once you fill in your application, or do you guys just decide? I wanted to make sure if
Daniel, it's almost like I paid you to ask that because that's a perfect question, something I forgot to mention. Yeah, so after we do our what we call our selection process and we mail out letters to people saying, hey, congratulations, you've been accepted to Project Life or Project Search. Then we schedule a meeting with you and your school team sometime during March, April, or May to sit down as a team and say, okay, you've been accepted to this program. Here's what it looks like. You know, is this still something you want to do? And we'll explain all the details about what it's going to look like coming into our program and answer any of your questions there. So it is kind of like an intake welcome to Project Life or Project Search meeting that we hold towards the end of the school year. Exactly.
okay, I'm just like wondering, I'm still wondering like out like when you age out and you do or don't qualify for the services, who else can you go to if you want like moving out?
Other than Butler County DD and OOD, I don't have any really good recommendations for you, but those people would. So the DD and the OOD people would know of who else you can contact. But those are the two main ones that you definitely want to start with.
Oh yeah.
And Daniel, I will send an email out connecting you to, two good contacts there in Butler County. And then just to let in October, we will be talking about the last Tuesday a month from now, or a little over a month from now. We have Living on Your Own. They're going to be talking about independent living. And that person is from Butler County as well that will be speaking that night.
Can I have an email of that? Because I want, yes.
I'll send everything to you in an email form for you. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I do have a question here from Inez. She says, do you take in consideration OOD's summer work internship results into your applications? I guess that could be for either one of you.
It could if they had done that, the previous summer, so therefore we had that information. It could definitely be included in the application and they could totally talk about it during the interview. So all of that could help, yes.
And so Inez, I don't know what county you're in, but in Warren County, we actually have, because we are so small, we just have 2 OOD people. They're actually on our interview team. So they do talk about those interactions. Not that it really has a basis on the acceptance or denial, which we've never denied anybody, but we do talk about kind of what work environments went well and what didn't go well for that individual.
Can you hear me? Hi. I don't know if I have mic. Can you hear me? I have my
Mhm.
mic. Hi guys. I have this question because it's very confusing as a parent. Um, so I try to kind of follow the schedule. Now I have 14 to do the pre-ads and then do the summer work internship prior to the senior year because my goal was to come back to Ohio and do project search. I'm a military wife, and I think here is the best place to have projects. So you guys doing a fantastic job here. But I was kind of confused when the results came and said, he's deemed employable. And I said, well, wait a minute, he's a 16 going 17. He's a little bit younger in the age. Um, so I said, "What I mean is, am I gonna backfire his opportunity to go into project search? Because yes, he has some skills, but he's super young and still, I believe, still lots to learn. So that's why I wanted to ask you guys: Is that a way? Is that a way when you see like a report that say, "Hey, this person is deemed employable for project search"?
Are you in Butler County?
No, Montgomery
Okay, so I can talk about what that looks like in Butler County, but just keep in mind every county could be a little
could be
different.
different. Yeah.
So in Butler County, we do technically have a rating that in our rubric that says, you are basically overqualified to be in a program like this. Like you don't need a program like this. You're ready to just go ahead and get employed. However, I will say that is almost never indicated because basically anybody who applies to come to our programs, we can always find something, some soft skill, something that,
Yes.
a specific type of job that they want experience in that they've never done before. There's always something we can sort of find to provide. So while we theoretically have that thing we can
Uh,
indicate, it's maybe only been once or twice in the past 7 years I've seen that.
Thank you for explaining this behind the scene, for me because I can I'm a job coach, so I can kind of see where the areas that my son needs some more, help with. And I think just, the 5 week work internship, which is his only exposure to work besides, the transition program in school is not enough. At 16 you don't have those skills that we would like to have for employment. And that's why I think project search is such a wonderful program because it does give a lot of opportunities for growth. You may come with a of set skills, but then you develop other things and exposure to different areas. So I really think it's so beneficial. But once my old counselor said that, I kind of like, wait a minute, did I,
And as we
yes,
we have individuals that have had independent employment before, but they've either been not able to maintain it. Typically, it's that soft skills, that
right,
interpersonal skills,
exactly.
that leads to some issues. So, like, I think employable can mean many things. It doesn't necessarily because really with project search, the goal is maintaining employment, and that's different than employable. Because I could probably go out and get all 11 of my individuals jobs today and they're employed, but they're not going to be able to keep those jobs. Um, and
Thank you,
so I think
Maria. Thank you for
sometimes
saying
that needs to be the focus is great. I'm glad they can get a job, but are they going to keep that job?
that.
And that's kind of harder to quantify.
Exactly. Especially because on my side of the business, I get them already in the employment, and I cannot tell you how many of my clients that had in 1 year 5 different jobs. So are we doing a better job of saying, hey, yeah, you're great, you go to work, but we don't, we're not preparing them to hold the job. And that's where my son fits in, in a way that, yeah, he has theoretically some skills, but when put in practice, can he really, be employable for, an amount of time? So thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much for what you do. I am humbled by the time, and the effort that you guys do to give this opportunity to our community. So thank you once again.
Thank you so much for saying that.
Does anybody else have any other questions for either of our speakers, or, I mean, just any random questions about Project Life and Project Search? I know it was a very important time, for our son, as he, as I mentioned, not only learned the skills. It's amazing to me, and I don't, how, and you guys should probably have seen this, things I didn't think our son could accomplished, when he got out on his own, in his own job, the things they were able to um, do in the workforce. I mean, yeah, they find their niche. They have that ability to step away from mom and dad and get into that taste of, what employment's like in the world out there.
Absolutely. I think if you guys take the time to go check out some of those videos that Maria and I put the links to too, that kind of reinforces that in the own words of the people who've experienced it.
Does anybody else have any more questions? We will wrap it up a little early if you do not. Let me stop I'm going to stop the video, the recording, just in case you would like to ask questions, while not being recorded. 1 second. But I want to thank you all for coming, and the speakers, thank you. Second.